Hello viewers, this is Wagda Ronald taking you through this tutorial for O-level mathematics. And this video we're going to talk about the topic of Ogive for grouped data. This topic is under statistics and is suitable for students in both senior 3 and senior 4. So an Ogive is sometimes called a cumulative frequency and is a graph of cumulative frequency against upper class boundaries, and this Ogive is used to estimate the median value for grouped data. So let's see an illustration of how an Ogive looks like. So what we do, the vertical axis will have the values for cumulative frequency and the horizontal axis will have the values for the upper class boundaries. Then you plot the upper class boundaries corresponding to the respective cumulative frequencies, and after that you will join with a smooth curve, as you can see this. Now to estimate the median, you have to first look for the median position. For this case, the total frequency is 60. So 60 divided by 2, I'll come up with 30. So I'll come at 30, draw my horizontal line to meet the curve, then drop a perpendicular from that point where the line meets the curve to meet the horizontal axis and read off this value. So the value you read off will now be your median. So basically that's how an Ogive can be used to estimate the median. And with that knowledge, let's come and do the following examples. So example 1 came from UNEB 2014 paper 1 question 11 and says the table below shows the ages of 60 university students to the nearest years. So these are the ages and these are the number of students in every group. Part A says calculate the students' mean age, and part B, Roman 1, says draw a cumulative frequency curve for the data, and Roman 2, use the Ogive to find the median age. So the first thing to do will be to draw a table. So we shall start with the values for the class. Now the classes are these ages in years, so that's what we shall write here under class. The next will be a column for frequency. Now frequency are this number of students in every class, so that's what we shall write here under frequency. Then now that we have to get the total of all these, which is 60. Okay, so now with that information you can now generate a column for x because they asked for mean. Now x is the average of the class limits, so 17 plus 19 divided by 2, I'll come up with 18. Then 20 plus 22 divided by 2 will come up with 21. 23 plus 25 divided by 2 will come up with 24. 26 plus 28 divided by 2 come up with 27. 28 plus 31 divided by 2 will come up with 30. The next is to generate the values for fx. Now for fx, I have to multiply these values of frequency with the corresponding values of x. Now 3 by 18 will come up with 54. 7 by 21 I'll come up with that. 13 by 24 will come up with that. 25 by 27 come up with that. 12 by 30 I come up with that. Now next I have to add all these values to get the total. So when I add all of them, I'll come up with 1548. Now next is generate the values for cumulative frequency. So I'll start with this very value here and put it there. Then after that I'll say 3 plus 7 to come up with 10. 10 plus 13 to come up with 23. 23 plus 25 to come up with 48. 48 plus 8, 12 to come up with 60. So basically those are the values for cumulative frequency. Now next will be class boundaries. Now for class boundaries, you have to look at these values, the upper class limit and the immediate lower class limit. So their difference is 20 minus 19 to come up with 1. Then when you divide by 2, you'll come up with 0.5. So what does that mean? It means that when you subtract 0.5 from these lower class limits, you'll be able to get the values for the lower class boundaries. And when you add 0.5 to these upper class limits, you'll be able to get the values for the upper class boundaries. So let's do that. So for example, the first one, 17 minus 0.5, I'll come up with 16.5, and 19 plus 0.5, I'll come up with 19.5. The next 20 minus 0.5, I'll come up with 19.5. Then 22 plus 0.5, I'll come up with 22.5. So when I do that for the rest, I'll come up with that. Then for this class, I'll come up with that. And lastly for this, I'll come up with that. So basically that's the table which will help us answer the questions. So the first question was that we calculate the student's mean age. So we shall come and say that mean is given by the formula summation of fx over summation of f, and our summation of fx is 1548, which is that. Summation of fx of f will be 60, which is that. So when I divide, I'll come up with 25.8 years. So basically that's what they wanted in that part. So now we shall go to part B, where they ask for us to draw the Ogive and use it to estimate the median. Now, before we go to the Ogive, let's see how marks can be awarded for this slide. So B1 is for you to generate the values of x, and M1 is for you to generate the values of fx. B1 for you to add up all those values, come up with that. Another B1 for generate the values of f of geometric frequency, and that value B1 to generate the values of class boundaries. Then here M1 is for you to substitute in the formula for mean, and A1 is for you to get the output. So now we shall go to part B, Roman 1, where they say that we shall have to draw a cumulative frequency of the data. Remember, cumulative frequency, you have to plot the values for upper class boundaries corresponding with this cumulative frequency. So for example, 19.5 corresponds with 3, but to draw that we have to first have a graph paper, which is that. Then you draw the axes, both horizontal and vertical. For horizontal you put values for the upper class boundaries, and vertical you put values for the cumulative frequency. So how that we shall start plotting. So we shall go back to our table and we plot 19.5 will correspond to cumulative frequency of 3. So we shall come at 19.5 and plot, look for 3 vertically, which is that. The next we shall go to 22.5, which corresponds to 10. So we shall come at 22.5 here and plot our 10, which is there. The next is 25.5, which corresponds to 23. So we shall come at 25.5 and look for 23, which is there. Next we shall go to 28.5, which corresponds to 48. So we shall come at 28.5, which is this, and look for 48, which is that. And lastly we shall look at 31.5, which corresponds to 60. So we shall come at 31.5 and look for 60, which is that. So by that we have plotted, and now next is to draw a smooth curve through all those points. So when you do that, you shall come up with this curve. Okay, so now that is part A, where they told us to draw a cumulative frequency curve for the data. Now we shall go to Roman 2. Roman 2, they said use the Ogive to find the median age. So by that we have to first get the median position, and median position is n over 2, where n is the total frequency, which is 60 divided by 2 to get 30. So this is the 30th position. That's where our median is. So we shall come at 30 on the vertical axis and take our horizontal line to meet the curve, just like I told you in the introduction. Then where this line meets the curve, we will drop it perpendicular to meet the horizontal axis. Now that value you read off will be your median. So we shall come here and say that from the Ogive, the median age is given by 26.8 years. So basically that's what they wanted in Roman in part B. Now let's see how marks can be awarded. So B1 is for you to draw all these both the horizontal and vertical axes, which are well labeled and with the correct scale. Then another B1 is for plotting all the points, then B1 for drawing a smooth curve through all those points, and M1 is for attempting to find the median. So for you to draw these dotted lines, that is M1. Then A1 is for you to state the median. So basically that's what they wanted in this question. So let's go to the next example. Now example 2 came from UNEB 2002 paper 2 question 14, and it says the cumulative frequency graph below shows marks scored by 180 students in an end of year examination marked out of 80 marks. So this is the cumulative frequency curve. Below are the marks, horizontal are the marks, and vertically are the number of candidates. Then they say that study the graph and use it to part A, estimate Roman 1 the median mark, and Roman 2 the number of students who scored 30 or less marks, and Roman 3 the number of students who obtained distinction if 61 or more marks were distinction scores. Then Roman 4 the pass mark of the examination if 94 candidates passed. Then part B, construct a table of the frequency distribution of the students' performance and hence calculate the mean mark. So let's see how those questions can be answered. So shall start with part A, where I say that estimate the median mark. So for you to estimate the median mark, you have to first look for the median position. So for the median position, our total frequency was 180, so we shall come and say that median position will be 180 over 2 to come up with 90th position. What does that mean? It means that now you'll go back to your cumulative frequency and look for 890, which is that, take a horizontal line to meet the curve, and then take a drop a perpendicular to meet the horizontal, and when you read off this value, that will be your median. So this value will be 37. So shall come here and state that our median is equal to 37. Next we shall go to Roman 2. Roman 2, they say that find the number of candidates who scored 30 or less marks. So 30 or less, remember the horizontal is what we have, is what has the marks. So 30 or less, we shall come at 30, take a vertical line upwards to meet the curve, then take a horizontal line to meet the vertical axis, and read off that value. So that will be the value for the number of students who scored 30 or less, and that is 72. So shall come here and say that for Roman 2, the number of students who scored 30 or less will be equal to 72. The next was that Roman 3, the number of candidates who obtained distinction if 61 or less were or more, 61 or more were distinction scores. So what we shall do, we shall first come and look for those who scored below 61. So we shall come at 61 and take a vertical line upwards to meet the curve, then take a horizontal line to meet the vertical axis, and read of this value. Now that value is 160, and that 160 is for the number of students who scored 61 or less. So the ones who got distinction are the ones who got above 61. Therefore you have to say that the remainder will be 80 minus 160 to come up with 20 students. Then Roman 4, they wanted the pass mark if the examination if 94 students passed. So shall come here and say that number of students who failed will be 180 minus 94 to come up with 86. So now we shall go back to our graph and look for 86 on the vertical, take a horizontal line to meet the curve, then drop a perpendicular to meet the horizontal axis, then read off that value, and that value will be the pass mark, which was 35.5. So you will come here and state that the pass mark will be equal to 35.5. 5. So basically that's what they wanted in part A. Now let's see how marks can be awarded before we go to the next slide. So A1 is for you to say the median, but the dotted lines must be seen on the Ogive. Then another A1 for you to say the number of students who scored 30 or less. Then B1 for reading the value, so reading this value of 160, and A1 is for you to subtract to get this 120 which they want. Then A1 is for you to get the pass mark. So basically that's what they wanted in part A. Now let's go to part B. And part B says construct a table of the frequency distribution of the students' performance and hence calculate the mean mark. So just start with class boundaries, and class boundaries are these ones on the horizontal. So the first one is 0 to 10, then 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, 50 to 60, 60 to 70, 70 to 80, like that. So we shall come and draw that and put that 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, 50 to 60, 60 to 70, and 70 to 80. Okay, so I realize that we have stopped at 80 because our last value stops at 80, so this 90 is not needed. So next is to get the values of some cumulative frequencies. So shall come and look for 10, get this value, read off this value on the vertical axis and put it there, which is 18. Then next will be 44, which corresponds to this 44. Next will be this value, read off this value, which will be 72. And next will be for the upper class boundary of 40. So we shall come at 40 and take this value up, read off this value, which will be 98. Then next will be 50. So 50, go up, take this value, read off this value, and that will be 133. Then next is 60. So for 60, go to 60, take it up, read this value on the vertical axis, and that will be 59. Then go to 70, 70, take over line up, read off this value, and that will be 172. And lastly 80. So go to 80, read off this value, which will be 180. So basically that's the values for cumulative frequency. So next will be for frequency. Now for frequency, you first write this very value, and that will be 18. Then next we will say 44 minus 18 to come up with 26. Then after that we should say 72 minus 42 to come up with 18, 28. Then 92 minus 72 to come up with 26. Then 133 minus 98 to come up with 35. 159 minus 133 to come up with 26. 172 minus 159 to come up with 13. And 180 minus 72 to come up with 8. So basically those are the values for F. Now because they asked for mean, you have to generate the values for X, which is the mid mark. So we can, for this we shall get the average of the class boundaries, upper and lower class boundaries, and that would be the value for X. So when I say 0 plus 10 divided by 2, I'll come up with 5. 10 plus 20 divided by 2, I'll come up with 15. 20 plus 30 divided by 2, I'll come up with 25. 30 plus 40 divided by 2, I'll come up with 35. 40 plus 50 divided by 2, I'll come up with 45. 50 plus 60 divided by 2, I'll come up with 55. 60 plus 70 divided by 2, I'll come up with 65. 70 plus 80 divided by 2, I'll come up with 75. Now next, now that we have the values of X and the values of F, I can now generate the values of Fx. So I have to multiply these values of F with the corresponding values of X to generate the column for Fx. So I'll come here and say 18 by 5, it will be 90. 26 by 15, it will be 390. 28 by 25, I'll come up with 700. 26 by 35, I'll come up with 910. 35 by 45, I'll come up with 1575. 26 by 55, I'll come up with 1430. 13 by 65, I'll come up with 845. And lastly, 8 by 75, I'll come up with 600. So next is to add up all these values, and when I add them up, I'll come up with 6540. Now we shall go to the hence part, where they wanted the mean age. So we shall come and say that mean is given by summation of fx over summation of f. Now summation of fx is 6540, and summation of f will be the last value in the cumulative frequency column, which is 180, and when I divide it, I'll come up with 36.3333. So basically that's what they wanted, and now let's see how much can be awarded. So B1 is for you to generate the values for the class boundaries, and B1 for you to generate the values of CF, another B1 for you to generate the values of frequency, another B1 for you to generate the values of X, another B1 for you to generate the values of Fx. Then here M1 is for you to substitute in the formula for mean, and A1 is for you to get the output, and that is basically what they wanted in this question. So that brings us to the end of this tutorial. Thank you for watching, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave you with a set of questions on Ogive for group data for you to try out. So that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you for watching, and be reminded that the solutions for the assignment left will be available in the next video. So if you have not yet subscribed, please click on the subscribe button below this video so that you can receive updates when the next video with the solutions has been uploaded. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and also if you know any student who is not yet on this platform, please share the link of this video with them via social media platforms like Facebook and WhatsApp, so that we can all benefit as a family.